The boat. Well, that was a mammoth task, still not finished either. The last video was more of just a time lapse showing you essentially just putting some PPF down. Wasn't very educational or anything like that. But this week we have a Renault, is it Traffic? It's a Trafic, Renault Traffic. Platinum wrapping film, Toxic Apple, this one. We've got it in, we've cleaned it, we've clay barred it, we've done every cleaning process as we've said in previous videos. It's now stripping it down. With it being white, that is a wrapper's worst nightmare. Black, we love. White is a longer process. You've just got to be so much more methodical with it. You just have to get the material all the way in to the wrap, all the way into the panels. It's just a longer process. We're going to strip this one down. Bumpers off, headlights, mirrors, handles. We've already started taking the sides off, as you can see, but it just makes the process so much better and quicker as well, believe it or not. Instead of trying to get your micro squeegee in here all the way down, basically make the material disappear, to make the white disappear, but then you can still see it through the headlight. Here we go. We're going to start stripping it down. We'll get the GoPros out. We've got the bumper off, and with modern day cars, vehicles, vans, whatever, they love radars. Don't know if we've mentioned that before. Radars basically look at everything in front of you that you're not going to see in time. Cars stopping, they work on adaptive cruise control, which keeps your distance, and all sorts of things like that. The thing is with them, if you unplug them, they need to be recalibrated. As you can see, we've got the bumper off, yes. This is the wiring loom which obviously plugs the bumper to the vehicle. Before I unplugged it, I was literally just checking to see if this one had a radar. It doesn't, so this loom literally does a temperature sensor, lower lights, some DRLs or day running lights, whatever you refer to them as. This bumper is safe to unplug, which is good news. Always double check. Get the bumper off, make sure you've got enough slack in the wiring loom before you unplug it, because I think I've said before in previous videos, you're in for a world of trouble if you unplug it and don't calibrate it. The insurance company are going to have your pants off, that's for sure, if the customer have an accident. This one's good to go, so we can unplug it and yeah, can move on from there. But as you can see, we can now access these edges so much better, which means we can get 100% in there, 100% coverage, no white will be seen. That's the plan anyway. Good to go. There we go, unplugged. That is a big bumper. Where am I going to put it? Over here somewhere for the minute. I've got the headlights out, I've got the bumper off, and we've still got trims and mirrors and things to take off. But as we were doing this bit, I thought I'd wrap this panel quickly so that I can show you the reason why we're stripping this one down. With the headlight in, with your micro squeegees and your bump and things like that, you can't get the material far enough in over this white edge. When you look down through the headlight or you catch your eye at it at the wrong angle, you're going to see a white line. Now that we've got the headlight out, we can actually get this material all the way over, and now it's 100% covered. It's all red. So the bonnet's done, the wing is now done. We're going to do this door. We've already taken the lower panel off, door mirror, handle, and this seal. We're now going to strip down, and then we can do the drop on the door. Door is all stripped, handle just pops out, it's got like a lever mechanism. The window sill and where the strip is off and the door mirror is off. Window sill is a bit weird, it's linked to this window and pole. We're not taking the window out, but the seal is flexible enough that we can pull this top bit down and get the wrap tucked in behind, but it is gonna just, all the way around, we're gonna have it nice and flush, but behind this 20mm of seal, it's just gonna have to be cut round and then tucked in, but there's nothing we can do about that. But again, you would never know unless I told you on this video. We're gonna clean it down, lacquer sealant on this panel because we're using PWF. So we're gonna clean it down, inside and out. And yeah, we'll start doing some wrapping. One of the easiest ways to do this, get it on the vehicle, magnets if possible. Not all cars are magnetic nowadays. Highly annoying. Make sure you're all lined up, make sure you're all cleaned, job good. We are gonna drop the material down essentially. So we're gonna fold it in half, like so. We can then peel the backing off, fold it over, and then lift the material back up over like that. And then we can start squeegeeing. I'm gonna move these up a little bit because they're a bit low. These flat ones, these paint is dead. These are really good for this. These ones have got a pole and a stick that sticks in the wrap, so not so good. Still good for holding things, but we're just gonna peel the backing paper off. PWF isn't overly staticky, so we don't have to worry too much about fibers and things like that. So you can either fold it like that, or you could use a snitty and then cut your paper. You can cut it and get rid of it. Still gonna need to fold this bit over, to be honest with you, because otherwise you're never gonna be able to get the back of it out. Pick this up, and then I'm just gonna, oh, it has dropped, so we need to make sure that we have enough material to get to the top of our door. Probably should have put more magnets on. Right, so we've got enough. We're down to the bottom, we're covered either way. That is all good. We have enough material everywhere. Glove, squeegee, wrap glove, red one for a red wrap. I swear by these gloves. Again, personal preference, but I think they're the best ones out there. So we're just gonna get this tacked on quickly. We're not gonna worry about it too much. We just wanna start working on this bit, like so. We can take our magnets off, and then we can start pulling our material down. And then find what we're looking for is we're looking for a hard line. So what that is it's a bit of the car that protrudes out. Protrudes? Sticks out, there you go. So if we were to just drop the material, we want to know where the material naturally sits. And as you can see, it's this line here. We can just squeegee that on there all the way around. And again, you can either work on this bit or you can just continue to work your way down, whatever you prefer. We can just continue squeegeeing the material down. We can pull the next lot out. Okay, and then we can just hold the bottom of it, and we're just going to squeegee at 45 degrees. All the way down the door. So here, we could either, as you can see, we're starting to get this, essentially this pocket where this door has an indent. There's a couple of ways you can do it. You can pull the rest of the paper out, like so, and then what you could do is you can either continue to feed it in, feed, but then you're going to end up with pleats over here. So as you can see, we're already starting to get these lines, and that's because the material is basically going in skewed. What you could do is you could just hold it tight, or taut, pull it taut, and we're going to find that line again. So there's another high spot, and all we've done is palmed it in, and now you'll be able to squeegee that down and not get any pleats or areas to deal with. So we can work on that in a minute. And then we can just continue to go all the way down. And then we have this pocket here, which isn't that deep at all. We could just warm it up and we could use the palm technique, which is what we're going to do in a second. So we just want these little lines to disappear. So all we're doing here is just relaxing the material. Might have to do something with it over here, but this bit we should now just be able to push in like so. And then we can squeegee the air that was above it out. And then the same underneath. So because we haven't shut the door at this end or down here, the air will just come out like so. And then we can just continue to work our way down. There's no tension in there whatsoever. That's the bottom of the door there. So the bottom of the door has got some ripples in it. So I'm just going to be warming this up. Nothing too crazy. And then we can just use our finger to do the top line, like so. The next level as such, or the next bit down, might be a little bit more tricky because there's a few different lumps and bumps in it. To be honest with you, it's all going according to plan, which is good. So again, another little bit of heat, and there's that section done. And then again, just warm the next bit up, and we're gonna just feed that in. Now you might be thinking, why am I bothering doing this bit when it's going behind a piece of trim? So there's a great big piece of trim that sits here. Yes. Why is he wasting time, money, materials doing an area that you're not gonna ever see? I have an answer for that. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean you don't do it. People don't see what pants you've got on, but you still change them. Oh, a lot of people love doing this bit. They call it therapeutic or satisfying or something. Warming the material again, nothing too crazy. And then you can just, it is quite satisfying. Just work it in. Certain materials, different techniques for this. Certain materials, I'm not saying any brand names, but if you did it the way I've just done that, you'd have more glue lines than you can count. Whereas PWF, spot on, not one single glue line. As you remember at the beginning, we only lightly tacked this on. So we're just gonna find, I'm just holding the heat gun on it to soften the material up a bit, so that we can find our edges. Found our window frame or recess, whatever you want to call it. So you could feed this in, or you could just warm it up and stretch it in. My motto is, if you can feed it in, then feed it in. You don't want to put tension in the material where you don't have to. We can cut, now we can see the line. Let's not cut the seal that is behind there, and round and down. And then what we can do is we can get behind the material and we can feed it in. Might need a little bit of heat still. And instead of just doing this, which you can do, nothing wrong with that, which is where you just hold it, get your squeegee and just let it go in on its own. Feed it in all the way down. I would still advise giving it a good heat, even after feeding it in. You could have some trapped air or something in there. But you can do it this way, or you can stretch it in. So either or, as long as you post heat it afterwards, if you're stretching, everyone's a winner. This is where that seal is. What we're gonna have to do here is, again, we're gonna feed it in like that. And get to the bottom of the door, the bottom of the seal. We can see where our seal is quite easily. So when we cut it, put the blade in, trim this area like so. And then when we get to this seal, we're just gonna lift the material up. We don't wanna cut the seal. We do like a half moon over the top of the sill, bring it back down, and then we can bring it back to the edge of the frame and continue working around. And in a minute, we shall tuck it in around there. We're just going to finish this bit. As you can see, the door is completely wrapped now, all the way around. So what we need to do is trim it and basically start tucking the material around. What a lot of people would do is they would just knife straight down here, all the way around. That'll give you a nice edge. Nothing wrong with that. We like to tuck it round to the silicone line on the other side of the door and then cut on the silicone line. Generally what I prefer to do. This edge, I am going to cut all the way down on the body line purely because you can't get in there correctly when the door is open. Everywhere else, so down the bottom, all the way around, up the top, we are going to cut it on the other side against the silicone line. And you'll see what I mean when I get the door open. Okay, so we can probably trim off some of this. A bit of this curve off here. The top will all come up, that's fine. Oh, there we go. Right, door is open. I've already cut down the front on the body line. The silicone line is a couple of mil just on the inside. We're going to fold this material round, all the way around. We're going to warm it, fold it, fold it until we find the silicone line, and then we can run our blade down the inside of the silicone line to cut the wrap. Nice and easy. The door is now all wrapped and good to go, so we've trimmed it all up. Let's take you around here. As you can see, the silicone line follows nicely all the way down and all the way over the top and round. So you end up with a nice, even finish. We just need to do the top seal bit that we spoke about. We'll jump on that now. And then cut the door handle holes out. Changing my knife. You may be asked, why are you changing your knife? I prefer these for doing rounded corners. So we'll heat the edges up, seal those down, and cut the handle out. That is wrapped. You done it? Okay. Ryan's arrived, so no more static images or video. So we're going to do a to be continued with this one. So you've seen me do the front, wrap the wing, wrap the door. Next week we'll do a carry-on and we'll do the drops and then some bumpers and the back, etc. And then we'll also do a ceramic coat. So we've got a Geon ceramic coat going on top of this as well. But yeah, we'll do another sort of tutorial about doing inlays, drops, wrapping over silicone joints. Also some bumper wraps, which I don't believe we've actually done yet. Remember to subscribe, remember to like, share, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, whoever you need to do. And we'll see you in the next one.